Tammy Wynette nació el 5 de mayo de 1942 y murió el 6 de abril de 1998. Fue una cantante y compositora de música country estadounidense y una de las artistas más conocidas de la música country y las cantantes femeninas más vendidas. Wynette fue llamada la primera dama de la música country, y su canción más conocida, Stand by Your Man, es uno de los sencillos más vendidos de una mujer en la historia de la música country. Muchos de sus éxitos tratan temas clásicos de la soledad, el divorcio y las dificultades de la vida y las relaciones. Durante finales de la década de 1960 y principios de la de 1970, Wynette se ubicó en 20 canciones número 1 en el Billboard Country Chart. Junto con Loretta Lynn, Lynn Anderson y Dolly Parton, se le atribuye haber definido el papel de la mujer en la música country durante la década de 1970. El matrimonio de Wynette con el cantante de música country George Jones en 1969 creó una pareja de música country después de lo anterior. Éxito de Johnny Cash y June Carter Cash. Aunque se divorciaron en 1975, la pareja grabó una secuencia de álbumes y sencillos juntos que llegaron a las listas de éxitos durante la década de 1970 y principios de la de 1980.
Tammy and George, so nice to see you both.
Well, thank you, Frank. We're happy to be here with you.
George, you know, as the old adage goes, I know this is kind of a family affair, so to speak, but as the old adage goes, we'll let ladies go first. Is that okay with you?
Fine with me.
And I'd just like to sort of do a little...
For the first time.
For the first time, I see. I'd just like to sort of do a little recap on the Tammy Wynette saga, which I know there's one thing that Tammy told me that people often get confused, and that's the fact that everybody says, well, Tammy, we know you're from Alabama. And I think Tammy probably has explained 1 million times that, well, actually, no. How'd that come to happen, Tammy?
Well, Frank, it's an odd situation. I was born in the state of Mississippi, Etowah County, Mississippi, but our land joined the Alabama line, so the nearest town to us was Red Bay, Alabama. So I guess I have to claim both states.
Well, I know at the time that you were a youngster growing up there that your interest in country music also was very big. Even before you started singing, I think that you told me that the main interest really was listening to the radio.
Right. I think I got to start to school when I was 5 years old, which they passed the law that year that you had to be 6, so I had to stay in the first grade 2 years. But I started strictly because I loved to sing so much, and I would go down to all the plays and the programs that they'd put on and play the piano, and the teachers asked my mother if I could start early, so I did, but didn't gain anything by it.
You know, quite often we wonder where the musical talent begins with an artist such as yourself. And I think that from what we had discussed, that you would say primarily that your real start in the musical business and singing came from some thoughts that your father had.
Yes, my father died when I was 8 months old, but he played almost any instrument that he picked up, and he left behind at the time of his death a string of instruments. He left, I think, 5 or 6, including the piano that he had asked my mother to buy prior to his death. Just before he died, he went totally blind, but he'd sat at the piano and placed my fingers on the keys, and this was a wish of his that I would learn to play, and I guess that something I heard as a child so much that and it was probably born in me. I just loved it.
Well, I know his wish was well fulfilled, Tammy, with the success that you have had. I'd like to turn to the other side of the Jones family here for a moment. And George, I know that you came a little further south than Alabama or Mississippi.
Just a little bit.
Down Texas way.
Well, actually, I was brought up mostly around Beaumont, Texas, which was probably 120,000 people. But I was born about 40 miles from Beaumont in a little town, Oilfield town. There was a big boom back in the early 1900s called Saratoga, Texas. And the population, probably now around 300 or 400 people, I guess. But that was where I was born. Of course, I moved around 10 or 11 years old to Beaumont and pretty well made that home ever since.
George, what really would you say was your indoctrination or beginning of interest in country music? How would you say yours started, your interest?
Well, I guess all families where there's a musician or an entertainer, it's almost inherited in a way. My mother played the piano and organ in church years ago, and And my dad played the guitar just a little bit and blowed the harmonica. And that's all I heard ever since I was big enough to remember is singing a country song. My dad always wanted me to sing, and I had a sister that sang with me at the time, and we sang duets together. But I remember back on Saturday nights on the old radio, we'd always tune in the Grand Ole Opry, and my favorites back then were Roy Acuff and Bill Monroe. And I begged my mama, I said, no, I'll probably go to sleep, make sure you wake me up when they come on. And I don't know, just as far back as I can remember, I guess it's sort of burned in you and around you, you know.
Right. You know, I had the great pleasure of a year or so ago to act as Master of Ceremonies at the CMA Banquet Show, in which both you and Tammy appeared individually and then, of course, in a duet. And I think that the introduction that was written for you probably, in my mind, has to be one of the greatest, because it said that you were considered one of the greatest country singers of all time. And really, I must admit that I've been a great fan of yours for a number of years.
Well, thank you, Frank, and that sure makes me feel good to hear that.
So have I.
I wish I could live up to that, and I hope I do.
Well, George, with the string of hits you've had, I don't think there could be any disputing it. Right now, I'd like to just pause for a moment, since we have you both here, and since you've joined Tammy on the Epic label. We've been very excited, of course, possibilities that you and Tammy recording duets, and this has come to pass. Tammy, I know that your career started with a lot of successful October months, and I know that many exciting things happened to you in the month of October. And I think, of course, one of the first ones was that when you came to Nashville and made your first recording, I believe that was in an October month.
It was, Frank, but the year before that, I came to the convention in Nashville in October, which was the first October of a string of Octobers. I was working with some DJs in Birmingham, Alabama, and I came up with the men and their wives to the convention. This was the first time I had ever been to Nashville. Then the following October, I had my first record out, which was Apartment Number 9. Then the following October, I got a Grammy on I Don't Want to Play House. Then the next 3 years, I got Female Vocalist of the Year in October, and then in the same year, I had a baby girl born in October 5th, so it's been a good string of Octobers.
And Tamla Georgette.
Start watching them October.
Yes, I keep that. That's a special month. Tamla Georgette, the young lady you just mentioned, is wandering around outside the studio here, and I wish everyone could see her. She's just beautiful.
Well, thank you. We're awfully proud of her.
George, we followed Tammy's spectacular series of Octobers, and we know where that brought Tammy to and brought her to stardom. What about the George Jones story on the way up?
Well, there's a little difference there. I started off, like I say, I was living in Beaumont, Texas, and the record label that was formed in Beaumont, back when you might remember Arlie Duff, he wrote a song and recorded Y'all Come,
right,
which Bing Crosby made a fabulous recording out of and sold quite a few records. And I served a short term in the Marine Corps for about 2 years, and when I was discharged in November of '53, I started playing some of the local clubs, and the people that formed the new company, they were looking for talent, and they got in touch with me and offered me a contract, and which I took. I just flew off for it, you know. I was really enthused and happy about it. And it went from there to 2 or 3 other labels, and eventually I always wanted to be on a major label, and it just took me about 17 years to get to that label, and I finally got to Epic.
I'd like to take a moment, and I think this perhaps is indicative of why the George Jones success story has come to be. George Jones, and A Picture of Me Without You, from the Epic album of the same name. George and Tammy, it is a delight that we now have both of you on Epic Records. And Tammy, speaking of your success, again I'd like to refer back to the Country Music Association show that I mentioned earlier, on which both you and George appeared. And I recall that our writer, Bob Tubert, wrote in part for your introduction that evening. Here is lovely Miss Tammy Wynette, whose voice has become the voice of every heartbreak woman has ever known. And do you feel that way? Do you feel that the songs that you sing do depict really in true life what women do experience?
I think so, and I think the people that have bought my records and have been so nice to me by buying them are the women that Most of them stay home and the everyday problems of life, divorce, and the working woman also. They like to hear this in a song. It just means a lot to them.
It means what women want to hear and things
Right.
that concern them most in life, perhaps. George and Tammy, I'd like to thank you both for coming by our Epic studio. It's been a delight to see you. I would like to also say thank you to two wonderful people, to two great entertainers. May your happiness continue.
Thank you very much,
Frank.
Frank.
Thank you, Tammy Wynette and George Jones.
Tammy Wynette nació Virginia Wynette Pugh cerca de Tremont, Mississippi, la única hija de Mildred Fay, de Soltera Russell, 3 de septiembre de 1921 to 24 de junio de 1991, y William Hollis Pugh, 2 de junio de 1916 to 13 de febrero de 1943. El padre de Wynette era un granjero y músico local que murió debido a un tumor cerebral cuando Wynette tenía 9 meses. Su madre trabajaba en una oficina como maestra suplente de escuela y en la granja familiar. A la muerte de Pugh, Mildred dejó a su hija al cuidado de sus padres, Thomas y Flora Russell, y se mudó a Memphis, Tennessee, para trabajar en una planta de defensa durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial. En 1946, Mildred se casó con Foy Lee, un granjero. La casa de Russell no tenía baños interiores ni agua corriente. Wynette se crió con una tía, Carolyn Russell, que era solo 5 años mayor, más como una hermana que como una tía. Cuando era niña, Wynette aprendió a tocar una variedad de instrumentos musicales que dejó su padre. Wynette asistió a Bellflower High School. Un mes antes de graduarse, varios meses antes de cumplir los 18 años, se casó con su primer marido, Upal Bird. Él era un trabajador de la construcción, pero tenía problemas para mantener un trabajo y se mudaron varias veces. Wynette trabajó como mesera, recepcionista y camarera, y también en una fábrica de zapatos. En 1963, asistió a la Escuela de Belleza en Tupelo, Mississippi, donde aprendió a ser peluquera. Continuó renovando su licencia de cosmetología todos los años por el resto de su vida, en caso de que alguna vez tuviera que volver a un trabajo diario. Dejó Upal antes del nacimiento de su tercera hija que desarrolló meningitis espinal. Wynette intentó ganar dinero extra actuando de noche. Upal no apoyó su ambición de convertirse en cantante de country y, según Wynette, mientras se alejaba, él le dijo, sigue soñando, Nina. Años más tarde, apareció en uno de sus conciertos mientras él firmaba autógrafos y le pedía uno. Ella lo firmó, sigue soñando, bebé. Tammy Wynette es considerada por numerosos críticos musicales del music y Rolling Stone como una de las cantantes más grandes y influyentes en la historia de la música country. Muchos otros cantantes de country han sido influenciados por Wynette, incluidos Reba McEntire, Sarah Evans, Faith Hill y Lee Ann Womack. En 1998, tras la muerte de Wynette, fue incluida en el Salón de la Fama de la Música Country, uno de los más altos honores de su carrera. Una colección especial de CD titulada Tammy Wynette, Collector's Edition fue lanzada en 1998, que incluye la firma de Wynette, Stand By Your Man, que incluso se ubicó fuera del Top 40 en las listas de música country ese año. La canción característica de Wynette, Stand By Your Man, tiene sido cubierto por hombres y mujeres por igual. Otros cantantes de country, incluidos Lynn Anderson, Dottie West, Loretta Lynn, Elton John y Lyle Lovett, han hecho versiones de la canción, así como bandas de rock, como Mi First Y Gimme Gimmes, Lemmy de Motorhead con Wendy O. Williams de The Plasmatics, Martina McBride hizo un cover de Wynette de 1976, Till I Can Make It on My Own para su álbum Timeless de 2005, que era un álbum de versiones de los estándares de la música country. Fue cubierto de manera cómica en la película de 1980, The Blues Brothers. Stand By Your Man se ubicó en el puesto 48 en la lista de canciones del siglo de 1997 de la RIAA, que consistía en las 300 de sus canciones consideradas más grandes y más conocidas del siglo XX. The Tammy Wynette Story, que se estrenó en el Auditorio Ryman en 2001 y luego estuvo de gira, es un tratamiento biográfico de la vida y la música de Wynette, y presenta varias canciones grabadas por Wynette y o George Jones.
Pictures of Georgette. A lady out there that never has seen Georgette. Some pictures of Georgette. There's a lady out there that's never seen her. And told me she won't. I can't find the wedding album. I knew her.
She has got two real nice weddings.
All I've got, Mother, or she's got a wedding.
We'll go
Oh, yeah.
this fall. On the left is the third den. It's a small den with a
Those are my bases in there. I collected bases. I love bases.
En 2002, Tammy Wynette ocupó el puesto número 2 en las 40 mujeres más grandes de la música country de CMT. Patsy Cline ocupó el puesto en Degree 1, una de las mayores inspiraciones de Wynette y en el Degree 3 estaba su compañera de país, Loretta Lynn. El ex esposo de Wynette, George Jones, ocupó el tercer lugar en el Special 40 Greatest Men of Country Music de CMT en 2003. En 2003, una encuesta de escritores, productores y estrellas de música country incluyó Stand By Your Man como la mejor canción country de todas. Hora, Country Music Television transmitió un especial para las 100 mejores canciones, con la canción number 1 interpretada por Martina McBride. La Iglesia Bautista Judson, que vecina a la casa de Wynette, compró la casa y el terreno, que pertenecen a Hank Williams antes de morir, por un tiempo. Mas de un millón de dólares. La casa Wynette se utiliza como centro juvenil y casa de huéspedes. En abril de 2008, el CD Stand by Your Man, The Best of Tammy Wynette, lanzado por Sony BMG para conmemorar el 10º aniversario de su muerte, ingresó al Reino Unido. En abril de 2011, la grabación original de Wynette de 1968 de Stand by Your Man fue seleccionada por la Biblioteca del Congreso de los Estados Unidos para ser preservada como una de las 25 grabaciones de ese año elegidas por su importancia cultural. El sello discográfico independiente Bear Family Records lanzó una caja de George Jones, que mostraba sus grabaciones para Musicor y incluía los primeros duetos con Wynette. Un grupo de amigos y voluntarios están planeando actualmente un museo Tammy Wynette en Tremont, Mississippi. El estado de Mississippi proporcionará parte de los fondos. También se están realizando esfuerzos para producir un sello de Tammy Wynette a través del servicio postal de E.E.U.
That's our guest, the First Lady of Country Music, celebrating 25 years in show business. Tammy Wynette is here. Nice to have you here, Tammy.
It's good to be here. It's been a while.
It has been a while. You look really terrific.
Well, thank you.
You look
Thanks.
just great.
Oh, you made my day, Dan. Thanks.
Are you feeling good? Everything okay?
I feel great.
Your health is
Everything's
okay?
Wonderful. Health is wonderful, finally. And I feel great. It's the best time, you know, I think of my life. I'm happy with where I am in my career.
Good.
I'm happy with where I am in my home life. I have, of course, my children are all grown now.
Yep.
I have grandchildren, and I'm just really at ease with who I am and where I am.
Good. You know, those of us who've known you for a lot of years, we worry about your health sometimes.
I
Because
know.
you've had some experiences. In fact, in 1990 in People magazine, they said you'd had 17 major surgeries. Now, that's a lot. You know,
Well, they
we
missed it by a little bit. I've had 22.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this. Now, what do you attribute that to? Does stress, and I know you've had a lot of stress in your life, does that contribute to this, or are you
Stress
just prone to
helps.
health problems?
No, stress helps to bring it on, but my biggest problem has been adhesions, which is scar tissue. Some people form adhesion, scar tissue, others don't. But I had my first operation when Georgette was 10 days old in 1970. And from that, I grew scar tissue and adhesions. And if your scar is like, say this, it grows down like this. It'll hit an intestine and another intestine and another intestine, and then you've got problems. They have to be cut off. But the worst part about that is they grow back in less than 6 weeks. So you have, you know, you got to face, hey, I got to have them cut out again when it gets to where I can't handle it.
And you can feel it coming on.
Oh,
when
you know it. You know immediately when it's coming on, and there's, you know, you stand it until you just can't stand it anymore, and then you give up and say, hey, do it again. You know, it has to be done. But then I've also had, you know, appendectomy, gallbladder, and normal things like that.
Yeah, I had an appendectomy a couple of years back. That's not a pleasant thing, is it?
No, it's not. No stomach surgery is pleasant, because every time, I didn't realize this until I had so many, but every time you sneeze, you cough, you talk, you laugh, it hurts your stomach after you've had
That's right.
surgery, you know.
That's right.
And I had Naro Wilson and Richie and some of the guys from the business come up to see me after I had surgery one time.
They'll
And-
kill you.
Oh, they were. I finally said, guys, you got to leave. I can't handle this. I said, it's hurting. And I was holding a pillow to my stomach, you know, and trying to go, but it just wasn't working.
It's awful. But you're okay now. Your health is good now, better than it's been.
My health is good. It's the best it's been in 20 years. So I feel great.
Good. I'm happy for you.
I'm very happy.
Now, get us straight on this name thing. Mike and I were talking about it. Is it Wynette or Wynette? Because I've heard both.
It's really Wynette. But it's been called Wynette for many, many, many years. And I think because they thought it was a last name and my real last name. But that's not true. It's a middle name. And I don't care as long as they call it.
Just as long as they call your name, doesn't matter.
No, I don't care if it's Wynette, Wynette. And I've stopped saying anything about it. I just don't say anything to anybody who says Wynette because, hey, it's been that way for so many years till it doesn't matter.
The real name that you were given is Virginia? Is it?
Virginia Wynette Pugh. Now, did I ever go through harassment in school with Pew? Pew! Pew!
Kids can be cruel when they find a name.
They are so cruel, you know. And it's spelled P-U-G-H. My grandmother was a full-blood Cherokee Indian. So I have a lot of Indian blood in me.
Does anybody still call you Virginia, or is that name gone?
No, that name's gone, but a lot of people call me Wynette. My mom called me Wynette. I lost my mom a little over, about a year and a half ago. But anytime I hear in a crowd, Wynette, hey, Wynette, I say, I gotta go. That's somebody I went to school with or somebody that I know or a member of the family. Because nobody calls me that. And my mom, she used to catch me in a crowd of like, I don't care if it was 2,000 signing autographs. Wynette, come here, Wynette. There's somebody I want you to see, you know.
So you never went by Virginia? It was
Wynette. Now, when I moved to Memphis, when I moved away from the farm, which didn't last very long, there's a funny story about that. My mother and my stepfather were gonna move to Memphis, and I thought, oh, God, here's my chance to get out of this dreary place, away from this farm, you know. So I said, I'm going, because we had all lived in the same house with my grandparents, all of us together, and my aunt. And my aunt was raised like my sister. And I've lost them all. I lost her when she was like 40. And I thought, I'll go. So I went, and I was doing okay, but my grandfather sent me a card. And the only thing it said in it says, hi, Net. He called me Net. Hi, Net. Shirley Anderson got your basketball suit. That drove me wild. I thought, she can't. She cannot have my basketball suit. I'm going back. So I went back within 2 weeks back to my grandfather's house to reclaim my basketball suit, which was different from everybody else's. Daddy wouldn't let me wear shorts. I had to wear the jersey and blue jeans, denims, you know.
This is in high school?
Well, no, it was in 8th and 9th grade. Yeah. That's high school, 9th grade is. I kept taking them home. Finally, I took them home and I said, Daddy, look at them one more time, the short pants. I said, please. Everybody else wears the shorts. I'm different. And he said, okay, put them on. I put them on and he said, walk around me. I did, and I twirled and I walked around him. And he said, my grandmother's name was Flora, but he called her Floor. Floor, come here. And I thought, oh God, what does this mean, you know? So Mama walked in. I call them Mama and Daddy. And Mama walked in, he says, put elastic in the legs of these pants. I said, Daddy, I'll still be different, you know, so I was the only one, but he said, I can see up the legs of them breeches and I ain't having that. Put elastic in them legs, so God, you know.
But you did get to wear them ultimately.
I did get to wear them, but they were different.
With some elastic.
So,
were you pretty good basketball player?
Oh, I won All-State
really?
In the state of Mississippi 2 years in a row, yeah.
Now,
I loved basketball.
Was that back when the women played either offense or defense? Played half court?
Yes, played half court, yes.
Yeah.
I
Which end
just
were you
don't
on?
understand. I was a forward.
Oh, yeah?
And I can't understand the rules now. I look, you know, they have the three-point shots and all this, and I try to keep up with it, but it is so different.
Well, now it's the same thing as men's basketball. Now they play full court.
I don't know if I could handle that or not. I don't know if I could run back and forth so much, because I think you run more in basketball and exert more energy than in any other sports, even football.
Yeah, you run at least 5 miles a game, I think they used to tell us.
But,
and we didn't have to wear
keeps you
elastic
in
on our pants either.
I do.
Now, Tammy, this after 25 years in the business, you've had 53 albums, if I'm correct on that. Number 54. Now, I don't know if this is out or not, or about to come out, with Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn. You've done an album with them.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Yeah, I have. It's been wonderful.
It's all done.
We have had so much fun. No, I go in the 30th and finish my part of it. We all went in together and did as much as we could together. Then we had harmony parts. You know, somebody sang lead, somebody sang high, and somebody sang low. And of course, me having the lowest voice with Loretta and Dolly, I got stuck with all the low parts. So I had more to do than some of them, than Dolly and Loretta did on some of the things. So I still have to go in and do a few things. I think it's maybe 5 songs I've got to put just like, you know, one voice on, like a bridge or something. It's not like doing the whole song, so.
Now, I read where you and Dolly had written some songs. Were they for this album?
They were, and we did, but we found so many songs that we wanted to do. As a matter of fact, we cut 22 songs. So we've got a whole other album in the can.
Yeah, you sure do.
And I don't know what'll happen to that. But we all sat down together. We went to Dolly's office. We all sat down together and said, okay, you tell me what songs you want to do, and you tell me, you know. So we went around, the 3 of us. We had 45 songs. I said, what are we gonna do? How do we cut this down to 10 songs? Or 12, you know, to have a couple extra. Well, we cut it down to 22 songs, and we just decided, hey, we're gonna do them. And we had so many old favorites, like I Forgot More Than You'll Ever Know, Skeeter Davis.
Yeah, great song.
When I Stopped Dreaming, the Louvin Brothers. So many of the old things. Hillbilly Heaven.
Boy, this will be a great album.
I can't wait for it to come out.
Well, you know, you can put more than 12 on these CDs now. They can put, how many, 20 songs or so?
We talked about doing a double album, you know, but I don't know what Sony will do. I'll leave it up to them. I really don't care, but I just know it has been so much fun. And Loretta, Dolly and I both have just sat and laughed at her. She comes up with one-liners about every 2 minutes, you know. And she sat and looked at me one day and she said, you know, a married man's nothing but a wolf with his ears pinned down. And I was about to go crazy.
Just out of the blue.
And yeah, Dolly and I just died laughing. And then she said, she came by and she punched Dolly and she said, give a man a free hand, he'll put it all over you. Well, we were just roaring. Dolly said, that's a great line. Loretta said, I've already written it. And Dolly said, okay. You know, so we had so much fun.
Some great song titles there. Let me take a break. Tammy Wynette is our guest. We'll be back with lots more to talk about.
I've read somewhere where you picture yourself as an average woman rather than a star. How do you really feel about yourself?
I really feel that I am an average woman. I have a different job, and that's all. Because I feel when I'm on stage singing, I have been what so many of the people are, women in that audience. I've worked in shoe factories, I've been a waitress, I've been a barmaid, I worked in garment factories. I have done so many things. I worked in the fields, picking cotton, baling hay, pulling corn. And I feel that I can relate to the everyday things, the crises that they go through, the everyday changes and happenings in their life that happen to them. I know because I've been there, so I don't feel any different from them. I can really associate with the average woman. I just have a different job.
I know that, you know, in considering yourself as an average working girl or career girl, you have a lot more control over your career than most women. And I think you'd agree to that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've been really lucky the 18 years that I've been in the business to have had as much control as I've had over my career. I've done the things I've wanted to do on stage. Maybe they haven't been the right things, but they've been the things that have been important to me and the things that I wanted to do. And I have not in any way ever felt less than anybody, male, female, anybody on stage. I've always felt wonderful and feel good to be doing what I'm doing and just happy because I'm thrilled to death that my dream came true.
New look, new show, new hairstyle. Where does Tammy Wynette go from here?
Well, I hope to do more television and perhaps some acting this year.
which is something that I never wanted to do before. I've always said no, I just don't want to do that because I'd be a total phony, and I know I would.
I feel the same way about me.
Well, you know, when I when I tried it though, it was great. The little bit that I did, I felt good. I really enjoyed it, and it wasn't nearly as hard as what I thought it was. It was different and it was hard. Yes, I'm not saying it wasn't complicated, because it is, and it's a hard life. And I'm not saying I could ever be great at it, but I would like to try more. I would like to do something a little bit different, you know, and just do more things than what I'm doing. I want to always sing. I don't want to quit until I'm older than A-Cup.
Please don't.
A few more years to go yet. But I do want to do some different things just to change up my life a little bit.
Tammy, you seem to be happier now than you've ever been. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely happier now than I've ever been.
Why?
I'm content. I have a wonderful husband. My family's great. My kids just told me recently that they had always been fully behind me in my music, and they said things to me that I'd never asked the kids, and never had often wondered how they felt, you know, about the mistakes and things I'd made, how it affected them. And, my career is wonderful. I have great management. I feel good. I'm just really happy. Probably won't write any sad songs, but I'm happy.
Sounds like you got the right attitude.
Tammy, where do you arrive? Tell me, these are all statements that you use, where the ideas come from for really great songs.
Well, I get ideas from a lot of different places. I've gotten ideas from reading books of poems, out of a magazine, reading a story, billboards. And most of my ideas, though, that I have written about have come from real life experiences or something that I've gone through that I have really had to suffer through, and I feel like I can write it better because I've been there.
What happens when you see that phrase on the billboard, or that phrase in a book, or you hear somebody say something in conversation? What happens in your mind?
Well, I know Christmas of this past year, there was a line said during the Christmas party that sparked in my mind. A new band member was being introduced, and he just said, "Too new to mention." And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great song idea. You know, I can write a love song about someone that's just come into your life, but right now he's too new to mention. You know, it just sets off something that starts your mind thinking about how to write it.
How do you know it's commercial?
Well, I don't know if I really do know it's commercial or not. I just write what I feel and put my thoughts down on paper. Many times I write what I can't talk about, something that I'm upset about or hurt about, and I put down on paper and pretend it happened to somebody else. But I really don't know if it's commercial or not. I just don't know.
When you are played a song, when George brings you a song and says, you know, I think this is right for you and so forth, and you listen to that song, once in a while you get that feeling, I'm sure, that I've just got to record this, you know. What is it about a certain song that makes it stand out for you from all the rest?
Well, I like a pretty melody, and I like a lyric, even if it's been written before, if it's said differently from what it has been written before. A catchy title will get me. I just recorded one called "You Can Lead a Heart to Love, but You Can't Make It Fall," and I've always heard the old saying, you know, lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I guess a melody and just lyrics that have something to do with how I feel about things really make a difference to me.
What makes a great song? We were discussing a while ago the marriage. They often say a great song is a marriage, a proper marriage between lyric and melody.
Well, I think what makes a great song is the appeal to a lot of different people if you don't aim it in one direction, just to a male or to a female. I mean, a lot of songs are directed to males and to females, but I'll bring up one that I was co-writer on, "Stand By Your Man." That was directed at the women, "Stand By Your Men," but the men liked it also because it said, you know, "Stand by me." So I think it's something that appealed to everybody, not just one person, not just the women and not just the men.
You told me a little story just a minute ago about having written a melody that's in a song Can you tell that again?
I wrote a song one time that I thought was a wonderful song, and I had had a melody in my mind for a long time, but after I got to thinking about the song, I realized I had used somebody else's melody, and I tried to put another melody to it, and it just would not work. It was not the same song at all, so I just threw it away. There was just nothing I could do with it.
The day's befitting. It's kind of a down day. Everybody's feeling pretty bummed out. God bless Tammy Wynette. I'll see y'all.
Thank you.
When I talk to George Ritchie, Tammy's wonderful husband, they always talk about Tammy and her wonderful song of Standing By Your Man. Well, not many people say enough about George Ritchie and standing by his woman. Because when he said, I think...
I love you all.
A time of entertainment, but may it be a spiritual high water mark.
We had 3 queens in country music, and one of them's gone.
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world